welcome our defending champion into the interview room at the Genesis Invitational, Adam Scott. Adam, when you won this tournament last year, it was just a couple of weeks before the tour shut down for a 3-month period. When you look back at that week, what sort of positive memories come to mind for you?
Lots of positives. I love this place here at Riviera, and although I'd won the tournament before, it was in different circumstances. So to win last year with 4 rounds, but also an incredible field, an amazing atmosphere out here, special memory for me. And obviously looking back on it, it was nice to get a win in before we shut down for such a long period of time. So it's nice that we can be back, and the course is fantastic, but we're missing the crowds, obviously. But I'll still be trying hard to defend this title.
We last saw you at the Farmers Insurance Open, finished in a tie for 10th there. Could you just comment on the state of your game coming into the week?
I think my game is improving. I was right up there at Farmers. I think I was in the lead on the back 9 Saturday at one point, but really struggled a little bit on Sunday, just didn't feel great, and that's not a good course to feel like that on. It's a very tough course. Hung in there for a top 10, but you know, trying to improve all areas, and this is a good time of year to get your game sorted out. Lots of big stuff. Obviously this is a tournament special to me, but then as we move over to Florida and into Augusta, it's a good time to be feeling good about the game.
All right, we'll take some questions now from the media that we have on the line. If you have a question, please type your name into the chat window and we will call on you. We will take our first question from Jeff Shackelford. Go ahead, Jeff.
Hey there, Adam. Just looking at this tournament and you winning here last year off a layoff, do you view certain events as good barometers for your game more than others? And if so, which ones are those events?
I guess so. I mean, I think, you know, everyone, or certainly top players, have such a big focus on major championships and then a few other championships, but generally the quality of golf course they're played on is at a very high standard, and Riviera fits that category. So I feel like if you've had a good week here, it's a good measure, certainly, generally, of where your game is at. There'd be an exception if you didn't hit it very well around here and you had a good week, but it can happen. But, you know, it's such a demanding course into the greens here that if you've played well here, you know you're pretty much ready for any event. So to answer that, I mean, Riviera is one of them. I think a tournament like Memorial might be another one that on tour kind of stacks up to a good measure of where your game is at all round.
Okay, thank you.
Next question goes to Mark Cannizzaro, New York Post.
Hey, Adam.
Hi.
I just was curious. We were talking to Brooks Koepka a little while ago, and he was talking about his frustration level as he was slumping, and obviously he had some physical issues after he had that great run of success. To the point where he snapped 2 sets of irons over his knee at home after a couple of tournaments. I know you're a very mild-mannered guy, at least in front of us. I wonder if you've ever done that before, thought about doing that before, maybe wanted to do that before and didn't, and I'm curious about that. Yeah,
sure. I think there's no doubt. I mean, 20 years of my career or more, it's there are the ups and downs, and that it may not have been Brooks's first down, but certainly one of them for him. I mean, how could you not, after the run he'd had for 3 or 4 years before that? But yeah, I've snapped some clubs. I remember where I did it, and I haven't snapped 2 sets of irons, but I have snapped some clubs. I try and generally get my game and my head in a place where I don't have to do that anymore.
Now, I mean, you obviously had so many different runs of success. I just wonder, the dynamic of trying to live up to the expectations you have for yourself, so to speak, when you're on a great run and then all of a sudden you start, you're not getting those results? How difficult is that to manage in terms of your frustration level and trying to be patient?
It is difficult because you expect a lot out of yourself and you know what you're capable of, especially if you've had the results. And when it's not happening, sometimes it's hard to put a finger on why. Generally, it's the kind of old saying, you can't see the forest from the trees. And I think in those times is when it's really important to have great support crew around you who can be very objective and maybe honest, maybe not, maybe they've got to sugarcoat it depending, but you need that other set of eyes to really be objective and tell you exactly what the difference is that they see from when you were playing so free and easy to making it look very hard, or at least feeling very hard.
Thanks, Dan. Have a good week this week.
Yeah, thank you.
Rex Hogger, South Channel. Go ahead, Rex. And just a reminder to everybody on the line, please keep it to 2 questions per term, just so we can keep it moving, please. Rex, go ahead.
Adam, you mentioned getting back to fans, and there's been other players who already just talked about sort of how it's impacted him over this stretch, not having fans. It's hard to focus, whatever the case may be. How has it impacted you, not having fans on the golf course, if at all?
Yeah, I mean, it takes away a lot from playing the golf tournament. I think especially on the weekends, there's no doubt it's a significant difference. And I think for a guy like Rory and myself, you know, I enjoy the atmosphere that they create. You know, feeding off the positive energy of knocking a birdie putt in can go a long way, and I think I've certainly realized that that's very helpful to me. So I'm really looking forward to having them back out here.
And a bit of a different question. I don't know if you saw the news about Mike Wong being the USGA CEO, and I don't know if you know Mike at all, but it seems like this is a different step for the USGA going more towards a business approach. Do you have any thoughts on what this is doing for them?
I don't know Mike, but I wish him, you know, all the success going in there. He's obviously done a really nice job over the years at the LPGA, so I hope he has the same impact with the USGA.
Thank you.
Yep.
Doug Ferguson, Associated Press, go ahead.
Adam, when it comes to winning at a place like Riviera, you mentioned Memorial a little bit earlier in this chat. How does it stack up to winning a World Golf Championship? How does it compare?
Look, I think it depends. I think they're great venues, and I think that counts for a lot. You know, as I look at it, obviously the World Golf Championships are kind of held in slightly higher stature, maybe. However, the last couple of years, Memorial and this event and Arnold Palmer's event has been lifted up in exemptions and where it sits in the scheme of things, I guess. But to win on quality golf courses is just a little something extra, and you know, I consider Memorial or Muirfield Village and here to do that, and I was really it was very satisfying for me to win here, and if I was honest, I'd say the other 2 events I'd really love to win on the PGA Tour is Memorial and Arnold Palmer going forward.
Okay. And secondly, not knowing your history, have you ever served on the PAC, run for PAC chairman? If not, why not? And why do you think it took so long for an international player, Rory in this case, to be elected? That's like 12.
Yeah, I've never been on the PAC. Obviously, I'm not wanted on there.
You embrace it.
But why? Probably because you know, it is the United States PGA Tour, and it's run its course until you know, the majority can see us fuzzy foreigners are not going to do anything crazy to the PGA Tour, and I think Rory's a great addition as chairman. I mean, he's obviously got a wealth of experience as a player, and hopefully he can use that to kind of steer the rest of the guys on the pack in the right direction to advise whoever they are to advise.
Thank you.
Ben Everett, PGAtour.com, go ahead, Ben.
Hey, Scotty.
Hey.
How confident are you of hitting Barrier's 18 and Norman's 20 tour wins with what you have left?
So, sorry, Ben, I didn't really catch the start of that.
How confident are you of catching Barrier's 18 and Norman's 20 that you referenced last year trying to catch? Tour wins.
Well, yeah, I don't know if I was referencing them particularly, but I just kind of had 20 in my head. I think it's a bit of a milestone for the PGA Tour, if I'm not mistaken. It's kind of like that lifetime membership if you hit 20, and that was the thing. It was a mark I'd like to do quickly so I can take advantage of that lifetime membership, because I'm getting a bit older, but I'm very confident that I've got quite a few wins left in me, but also I'm aware I'd like to do that in quick fashion. If I'm to achieve really what I want out of my career, I'm going to have to do that, because it's not easy to win out here, and time is working against me a little bit, even though I feel like I'm in a good spot.
And I don't know if this is an easy answer or not, but why is Riviera your best putting course?
I don't know. Look, the one thing with this golf course here is I feel like I'm playing at home a lot. I didn't grow up necessarily on POA, but just being out there, the landscape, everything, it feels very much like, even the smells feel like I'm playing as a kid back at home.
Yeah, thanks, bud.
You got it.
Bob Herring, ESPN, go ahead, Bob.
Hey Adam, thank you. When the tour shut down at Sawgrass last year, how long was it before you made your way back to Australia? And could you have ever imagined you ended up being there for as long as you were?
I pretty much decided to go once they said the tour's off for 4 weeks. And I think it was just the uncertainty of everything at that point, and I felt I was prepared. If I was going to get stuck somewhere, then I was going to get stuck in Australia, and I was prepared. I really honestly prepared to go for 6 months. Worst case, let's say. And I think it was just over 3 months in the end that I was there. So in some ways I knew I'd be there for a while, which wasn't a bad thing necessarily. I think more incredible is we're still sitting in kind of the same position as where we started when we restarted last year in June. We're still doing the same thing. It's quite amazing how long this is all dragged out for.
You were one of the later ones to come back, obviously, after the restart. Are you still good with that decision? And how disruptive was it to you? Just obviously to be away from competitive golf that long, and then to sort of have to play catch up with some of the guys who would come back sooner.
Yeah, I think being away from the competitive golf wasn't too bad. I've got enough years of that in me to get back into that. I think it's more disruptive from just generally the way I have the support team around me that's created. It's not all based in the same place as me, and that's really, I'd say, working against me still. My coach lived in the UK. I was in Australia for a long time. My trainer was in Hawaii, and then I've really only seen them maybe 3 times in 12 months. So that's kind of working against me a little bit at the moment, but making the best of it. Got a a good plan for this year, and like I said at the start of this, I feel my game is improving and coming into a good spot, and so not all hope is lost.
Great, appreciate it, thank
Yeah.
you.
Only have time for a couple more questions here. Going to go to our Australian media that we have on the line. We'll start with Tony Webeck of Australian Golf Digest.
G'day, Adam.
Hey,
How you going, mate?
good, thanks.
The total defence starts on the 10th tee on Thursday. What's your strategy for that hole, and does it change from day to day, and what makes it change?
I think pretty much generally the strategy there now is to move it down as far as you can to kind of the front left of the green. Obviously hitting a 3-wood, it's hard to control exactly where it's going to finish, or a driver. But I think that's generally the best play. The green is so narrow, and this week it's so firm. I certainly don't want to leave myself a 90-yard pitch. There's probably very little chance of hitting the green, actually. So then you get into that bunker situation as problem. So get it down near the front left, and it could only be conditions or wind or something that would change that strategy, I think, for me. You've just got to get it down there, roll the dice a little bit. If you hit a hell of a shot and it ends up on the green, then that's great. Otherwise, then just start working at scrambling from around the green. Sometimes you have to chip it to 30 feet. That's the best you can do.
25 years since Happy Gilmore yesterday. When did you last start Happy Gilmore swing, or where?
It's been a little while, I must say. But with all this, everyone trying to hit it further, maybe have to bring that back out again.
Thanks, mate.
You got it.
All right, we will take our final question from Russell Gould of News Corp Australia. Forgive me if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly. Go ahead, Russell.
Pronunciation is perfect, thank you. G'day, Adam. Hope you're well, mate. Quick one. There's been some sort of mullet competition with Cameron Smith. I'm not sure if you've seen his latest with the Clippers and what have you. You've got a few girls coming out the back of your hat there. I'm just wondering if it's some sort of Aussie competition.
It's more of a case that all the shops are closed where I live, and I don't trust myself with the Clippers, so we'll see. I'm going to have to definitely tidy it up, but Cameron's definitely got me covered as far as growing mullets goes.
Absolutely. And secondly, a bit more serious, you mentioned about the push to get to 20 wins. Do you have a window for that? I mean, you've said before that you felt like the next 5 years could arguably be the best in your career. Have you got a window on getting to that 20, or do you just push on until you can't anymore?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think I can, over the next 5 years, I can win another 10 plus tournaments, as long as I'm still physically in good shape. But, that's a commitment to do that. I'd like to push on hard, and I'd really like to see myself get on a bit of a roll at some point in the next couple of years and rack up some wins. I've watched a lot of guys do it over the past 5 or 6 years, like Brooks and Dustin, who consistently wins. But even thinking back to Jason Day, he won 9 times in 18 months maybe. So I'm looking to try and work my game into that kind of form. And I see all the areas at times good enough. I just have to put it all together.
Thanks, Adam.
Got it.
All right, Adam. We appreciate your time, and best of luck this week.
Yeah.